Okay, I admit it. I am addicted to TCG Pocket. Since it launched last year, I've been playing every single day. I've completed a couple of sets already, and I've even used it to get proxies for my physical collection thanks to Etsy. But at the beginning of the year, I started to remember something I had completely forgotten. This is not the first time I've been hooked on a Pokémon video game based on the Pokémon TCG. And you might be thinking, oh right, he's talking about the Game Boy Pokémon TCG. Yeah, I remember that. Nope. There is actually another Pokémon TCG video game that was released in the 90s, and I have it right here. Hey everyone, welcome to the Collecting Rod. Today, I have something really special to show you. This is Pokémon Play It 2. Pokémon Play It 2 is actually a sequel to the game Pokémon Play It that was released in 1999. This game was released as part of the Thunderstorm gift box, or the Tempest gift box outside of the US, and it served the purpose of teaching new players how the Pokémon TCG was back then. We'll dive deeper into the game mechanics a bit later in the video. And you might be asking yourself, why on earth is he making a video about a tutorial game? Well, the main reason is nostalgia, which is the same reason I'm talking about Pokémon Play It 2 instead of the original. I remember my school had this brand new computer room back then, and the teachers didn't really care about those new machines, so they just let us play pretty much unsupervised for an hour a week, which today would be pretty bad. Interestingly, I never had any physical Pokémon TCG products growing up, so I really have no idea where I got the game from. Maybe a friend gave it to me, or maybe it was also released as a promotional material with a magazine or something like that. I honestly have no clue. But anyway, what I knew for sure is that the game I played had a blue cover, like the one at the back of Pokémon cards. So when I started looking for it, I realized that what I wanted was Pokémon Play It version 2 and not the original, because that's the one I played. Also, it's apparently the same game as the original version with some minor bug fixes and more balanced mechanics. The other reason is that the game is surprisingly fun, and once you get to the last level, you get quite a few options to play with different decks, as we'll see in a bit. It was surprisingly easy to find on eBay, and as of today, it has multiple active listings for a relatively low price. I actually bought two copies, a sealed copy, which was a bit harder to find, and a used copy I could use to actually try to make the game work. I've also been trying to get some acrylic case for this so I can preserve it better, but so far I've had no luck. So if you know somewhere that might sell them, please do let me know in the comments. As I said, I bought one of the copies to actually play the game, so if you're interested in giving this a try, bear in mind that this is a game for Windows 95 and Windows 98, so I'm afraid this is not going to be as simple as to just install the game on your computer and play it. And there is the whole other issue of the game being a CD-ROM. I haven't owned a computer with the CD drive since 2009 probably. So the first thing I had to do was to buy this cheap external CD drive, but this was the easy part. The bigger problems come with the game compatibility issues with newer systems. I was hoping that I could just try to install it in Windows 11 and maybe it would magically work. But unfortunately, it didn't. I tried many different compatibility options and got a different problem each time. So I decided to go for the other route I was pretty sure would work. A virtual machine, or VM. A VM, for those of you who are not familiar with the term, is just a way of emulating a different computer to the one you have and installing software in it. I've used VMs many times in the past, so I knew it was just a matter of getting myself a copy of Windows 98, but when I tried to install it, it turns out that VirtualBox, the software that I use to creating VMs, has a ton of problems making Windows 98 work, from issues with capturing the mouse to installing video drivers. I know that there are workarounds, but at this point, I had already wasted a ton of time trying to make this work. And I just wanted a way that would ensure that I would be able to play the game and stop tinkering around. And what I found is that PCM would do just that. Now, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but I'm gonna call it PCM anyway. PCM is a software that basically lets you create a more fine-grained virtual PC with whatever specs you need. And then you can just find the drivers for the components you selected and install whatever software is compatible with the system. So if you wanted to install Windows 98, You only need to make sure that the hardware you are emulating is something that was used back when Windows 98 was released. I won't go into every step of the process because I honestly just followed an awesome video by Phil's computer lab that I will link in the description. What I would say though is that there is a step in the process that didn't work for me, which is copying the drivers from the host machine into the virtual hard drive. For some reason it wouldn't mount. So I had to use a program called IMG Burn, I think, Image Burn. I don't know how to pronounce that either, but it basically lets you create an ISO image with the files and mount it in PCM as if it were a CD. PCM also lets you select your host CD drive in your guest OS. So then I just had to install the game and pray that it worked. Which it did, although with a bit of an audio stutter from time to time, probably because of the driver. And before I show you the actual game, if you're enjoying this video, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. It really helps me to know that there's people enjoying these videos, and it motivates me to make more. Alright, so this is it. This is Pokémon Play It 2 in all its glory. The main feature of the game is to teach the player how the Pokémon TCG works. And it does it through Julie, an incredibly creepy looking character that you have to play against.
Welcome to my gymnasium.
The game is divided into 15 levels. 11 of those are tutorials with predetermined outcomes that teach the mechanics of the games. The remaining 4 levels are labeled as challenge and go from basic, where you can only use specific half decks to play, to advanced, where you get to choose between a set of 7 different standard decks composed of cards from base set, jungle, fossil, and Team Rocket. Honestly, the game doesn't look half bad for its age, and I found it quite entertaining, except when Julie tried to get on my nerves.
Are you chicken?
It also has some other features, such as a collect section, where you can keep track of your own physical cards, and a build mode, where the game teaches you how to create your own decks. It even has a Pokemon quiz that I absolutely nailed. I honestly loved trying to make this game work and relieve some of the fun that I had as a kid playing it. I hope you enjoyed this video and let me know if you knew about it or even played it yourself. I'd love to hear from your experiences, and also, if you decide to give it a go and try to install it, don't hesitate to ask any questions if you get stuck. I'll try to help if I can. Alright everyone, thank you for watching, and until next time, catch you later. Bye!